Bismillah. So our intent to be in this program, and Jazakallah khair for Sister Saira, who was reaching out to me. She wanted us to do this program at John Jay and your college and others, and inshallah we'll be doing it at Queen's College soon, inshallah. Some of the Queen's College MSA, mashallah, may Allah bless them and raise their efforts. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. They're here. So this effort is not an isolated effort. Ustadh Marid, mashallah, he attended the Dawah seminar with me in December, and now the student has surpassed the teacher, Allahu Akbar. And we want, inshallah, others, yourselves, to be the next one up here, bi'idhnillah, teaching in this gathering. It's possible. Ustadh Marid, Allahu Akbar, he's so amazing, Allahu Akbar. Imagine your potential. Just like all of us, we all have teachers. So bi'idhnillah, may Allah help you and I be up here someday, teaching others upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Bismillah. So we begin. We ask Allah to bless this and to help us learn and benefit and retain. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Anyone who did not register, please register, inshallah. You'll get the recording, inshallah, and you'll get the PowerPoint, inshallah. We want you to teach it. Maybe to your family, maybe to a friend. Bismillah. Ustadh Faisal, is the camera good?
Yes.
Am I centered? Go? All inshallah?
Yes.
Good? Alright, Bismillah. Let's begin. Bismillah. Bismillah. What has made you come to this course? What is the reason? Anyone? Pleasure of Allah, anything? Sister Saira?
I feel like I failed some very few Muslim books to myself who were converts, and
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until I realized that they were praying wrong for years, and that's such a small thing that we do every single day. But had I did my job better, I could have helped them from the get-go.
SubhanAllah, can we get Allahu Akbar for Sister Saira? Allahu Akbar. So all of us, we're all in the same boat. The new Muslims, they need the attention, and we need to be the support for them, inshallah. So we'll head, inshallah. Relax in paradise is one of the first stops. We want the pleasure and rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to see yourself in a better imagination. Imagine the pleasure of Allah, what He can give us, much more beautiful than this, right? So we want that. That's one of the reasons we give da'wah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine that's you and I, the red person there. Imagine all of the barakah from all the people that got hidayah from Allah through you, that Allah guided them, their salawats, their fasting, their kindness, their smiling is on your scale because you call them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? This is the sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He gets all the hasanats for our sajda every time in this masjid and anywhere upon this earth. Because He called us He gave us da'wah and our ancestors da'wah. Who will we give da'wah? Imagine all the blessings because of you. And as we see, it's not hard to give da'wah. That's what Ustadh Marid, mashallah, was showing us. May Allah raise him. And all of us, ameen. Is life just a game? My brother, my sister, I ask you, is life just a game? Doesn't that feel so meaningless inside that all this was for nothing? Allah asks us in the Quran to think, did Allah create all of this in vain? Allahu Akbar, absolutely not. Or is there something more? We're here to help others realize the truth. Imagine all of the creation of Allah, all of the human beings. They walk upon this earth. How many of them do not thank Allah? Allah caused their heart to beat 60 times a minute or more. Allahu Akbar, and not one thanks, not one anything, Alhamdulillah, thank you, Subhanallah, nothing in the entire day. They say, Allah dismissed, right? Allahu Akbar, we're here to help guide people, to show them the light by the mercy of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So valuable. I want you to imagine if you woke up to find yourself on a train, and that train was moving very fast. You woke up, you went to sleep in your bed, and you woke up in this train, and the train is moving very fast. What are your thoughts? Are you concerned? Who here is not concerned? All of us are concerned. How did I get here? And it's moving very fast. Where is it going? I need to prepare for the destination. How will I get back home? The reality of this train is the reality of this life. All of us, Allah put us here from His rahmah. Now we're here, now we're on the train. We have to prepare for the end stop. May Allah make it so when we reach the stop, we meet in a place pleasing to Him subhanahu. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. How did we get here and where are we going? These are human questions, fundamental, basic questions that everyone wants to know. As human beings, we need these answers, and answers we're going to share today by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So alhamdulillah, you can see that there are so much blessings from Allah subhanahu for the reasons we should give da'wah. From following in the footsteps of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to being among the best of mankind, to preserving our own iman, to that helping hand that Ustadh Narine was talking about. Our da'wah should be holistic. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. May Allah make us of those who follow this ayah. And who is better in speech than the one who invites to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and does righteousness and says that I am indeed of the Muslims. This is the best of mankind. Do we not want, before we leave the earth of Allah, to be among this category? Was not this the effort and the da'wah and the time and the sweat and the blood and tears of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam for our Islam? This is it. May Allah help us to follow in His footsteps. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Bismillah. So now we want to get into some key do's and don'ts that very important that we want to keep in mind in our da'wah. The character. What kind of character? What kind of person would you want to approach you, calling you to the truth? How would you dress? How would you talk? Would you be soft? Would you be kind, generous? So that's the way we want to be, inshallah. Very important. In reality, most people on earth, they do not do this. And without this, the conversation doesn't happen. We have a pastor holding his Bible. Every time the Muslim is talking, he's looking to his Bible, he's not listening. We have the Muslim. He's in his Quran. Every time the pastor is talking, he's reading his Quran. Is there a conversation? Are they listening to one another? Will there ever be progress? No progress. So we must listen. Be positive, like this baby, mashallah. We want to be positive. She's so happy. Look, all of us are smiling just because she's smiling. So it radiates, and the Prophet ﷺ taught us about the sunnah. Put yourself in their shoes. How do you want to feel? We were talking about that already. Observe body language. 70 to 80% of communication is nonverbal. Look at these faces. Some of them are scared. Some of them are happy. By knowing that, we'll know how to cater our next words to our audience and be effective. Be clean and neat. Who wants a smelly, foul-smelling, nasty, bad breath person giving them da'wah? So you're talking to them, they'd be like, you need da'wah. You need to understand something, right? So now we want to talk about the methodology, alhamdulillah. And the method was already breached by our Ustadh, Norris. The method is the go rap. God stands for? God stands for? God stands for? God's existence. Allahu Akbar. Brother Fahad, mashallah. Allah bless you. Next, O stands for? Oneness. Allah Tawheed. Then, revelation. And then, P, prophethood. God's existence, oneness, revelation, and prophethood. Put it all together, it spells go rap. Allah, can we say it? Go rap. So, when they come and ask you about your hijab, my sister, it's a mercy from Allah. I resemble the Virgin Mary, and guess what? Let's talk about the G, right? Let's not get distracted upon this beautiful thing of modesty, which is respected as a nunnery. Let's talk about the G. Let's get focused. The one who gives us the guidance. And then the oneness and revelation and prophethood. Very simple, right? Go rap. Easy to remember. Bismillah. So another concept very important is the use of closed-ended questions. Why is this important? Because just like the go rap, it gives you a method of how to go. When you ask someone a closed-ended question, it's a question that the answer is yes or no. When you ask someone a yes or no question, you are controlling the conversation. So this is the way that they don't get to control it. We want to give them the da'wah because we're upon the haqq, the truth. So we need to control it. The first one, the G, we can ask them, do you believe there is a God? They will answer yes or? Yes or?
No.
No. So based on that, we can cater. If they believe in a God, the G is complete. Check. Now I will go to the O. Next question, do you believe that God is one? The two answers are yes or no. If they say yes, then we can move on to revelation and prophets. Allahu Akbar. Revelation is the instruction manual. Prophet is the guide. Allah is Ar-Rahman. He doesn't send us one, He sends us both. Allahu Akbar. Revelation and prophets. Isn't that a mercy from Allah? Do you believe God sends revelation and prophets? The answers are 2. Yes or no. If they say yes, then we can continue. Now, very important, Ustadh Marine mentioned, is it logically possible that Muhammad ﷺ is the messenger of Allah? This word logically possible is very important because what we believe is logically possible and what we believe is real is a hair span across. If they can understand that it's logically possible He's a messenger, they're basically there. So this wording is very key in getting them to bridge the gap. And then you can ask them the last question is, do you know how to become a Muslim? Just like we covered, you just have to say 2 things we already agree. The oneness of Almighty God and belief in all the prophets, including Muhammad ﷺ, and that's it. Very easy. Very easy. And you'll see, when you use this method, you'll see how Allah opens hearts. Allah opens hearts in front of you, and you're amazed how Allah opened a heart in like 5 minutes. And we've seen it many a time, and it's so simple. So it's just up to us to convey the da'wah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah made it easy. It's just up to us to try. If they ask you tangent questions, you maintain the driver's seat by using closed-ended questions and following the go route. Does that make sense? Very simple method, not complicated at all. Okay, now we're going to talk about the natural state. Not only did Allah make His revelation clear and make His prophet, the truth, very clear, He also gave us an added bonus, the fitrah. The fitrah is this internal compass that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in every human being. Whether they're born in Alaska, Antarctica, in a Hindu family, in a Buddhist family, in a Christian family, they're all born, all of us, upon the fitrah. So the natural state makes da'wah very easy. So the Prophet ﷺ, he told us, and there is the hadith, every person, every child is born on the fitrah, and then his parents and society mold him into something else. So all we have to do is something easy. Awaken the fitrah that Allah already put inside of us. How easy is Allah making it to us? And when we open our tongue with these words, we'll see how Allah opens the hearts. From His mercy. We want to unlock our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will talk about the Quran. We will talk about human experiences. We will reflect upon the creation of Allah. And we will use our intelligence and we will come to awaken the fitrah of that. What do you think about this man? Do you see him as a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
No.
What do you think about this rapper, Loon? Very famous rapper. What do you think about him? Do you see him as a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do you see can Allah awaken their fitrah? Allah did. Allah awoken. Who would think that happens? Allah does it. Who would think that happens? Allah does it, not us. Allah is the one who guides. He tells us in the Quran. And everything is easy for Allah. Our role is but to convey. May Allah make it easy for us. Indeed, He has made it easy. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Now we come to the G, God. Now, Bismillah. Is there a God? That's what we said. Closed-ended questions, right? You start the conversation. Is there a God? The 2 possible answers are yes or no. Good. Alhamdulillah, we already have it. MashaAllah. You got a degree already. Allahu Akbar. Look, yes or no already. Next. So the person says no. What are you going to ask now? Allah, here's a hint. Allah gave us evidence to prove His existence. Where did the earth and the universe come from? Allahu Akbar. Just like Ustadh Marine was talking about. Is there a God? If they say no, the evidence is on whose side? Our side. Look, earth and universe. Explain where it came from. So then these are the options as Ustadh Marine was saying. I will reiterate inshallah. Either, number 1 possibility. It was created out of nothing. And look, there's nothing. If I add more nothing, what do I have? More nothing. Will I ever get something? No. So that's not a possibility. All of us are made of something, right? Nice hair, mashallah. Nice sense. Alhamdulillah. Next thing, B, something limited, created it. Anything limited. What do I mean? Something that has a birthday and a death day. We give example, cat, dog, fly. Look, it's a fly. There's that fly. Can that fly create something? Can it create another fly? Can it cook me a nice biryani tonight? Can it do anything for me? Can it? So can it create? Make something out of nothing? No? Nothing limited can. So the only other option is number 3. That one unlimited, eternal, all-powerful created it. And who is that? Who is that? God. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does it make sense? What are the 3 options? We came out of nothing. Let's go back. Nothing. Is it possible? No. Did a fly, a camel, a goat, sheep, name anything limited? Can it make anything else? Create anything from nothing? No. The only option left is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which one makes sense? Allah. Is this very complicated? Is it complicated? It's very simple. Bismillah. Next we want to talk about the Big Bang. Now, Ustadh Narine, mashallah, he talked about it. Singularity expands. Whether the theory was premised at it's an explosion or an expansion that happens from a tiny point called a singularity. So, what is this? This is science. Science changes throughout history. You know, many of us in high school, when we were growing up, we learned that gene expression, you know, when we did the phenotypes and those charts, remember, Punnett square? We remember that widow's peak, earlobes, things of that nature, they were controlled by one gene. That's what we learned when we were in high school. My generation, right? Now, they know that they're controlled by multiple genes and multiple factors. So science was wrong when we were in high school. You understand? See, so science changes. So this is a concept that's changing. A theory. Are we going to base our entire life and our existence and our hereafter and purpose on a theory? Does that make sense? Someone comes to you, they say, I have a theory, I have an assumption. Would you base your entire life on that? Does it make sense? Or would you base your entire life on something that made sense? Tell me. A theory is what it's called. Big Bang Theory. Now, anything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes, He is the cause. So when we look at the Big Bang, we look at all these things. Energy, where did it come from? Heat. Matter, where did it come from? Let's look at each one. Matter. Did your mother give birth to herself? You can ask them. What's the answer? No, unanimous consensus. Matter doesn't create itself. Otherwise our moms could have. Human beings are the highest intelligence. Why can't mom make herself then, right? So matter didn't come from nothing, it came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Energy from nothing. If the ball goes across the baseball field because the pitcher threw it, what was the cause? The pitcher. Will the ball fly across the field by itself? So all of the energy, look at this explosion here, a pitcher, all of the energy to create the entire universe going out, millions and millions and billions of miles. Energy, Allahu Akbar, Allah's power, that's what you see in this. That's what you see. You need a pitcher, right? The next thing, heat. Heat comes from a source. Whether it's our bodies or the sun. Does heat come from nowhere? Okay, don't turn on your heat in the winter. It comes from nowhere. You'll be warm, you'll be okay. Some people, they died this past winter, right? SubhanAllah, out of freezing. So, all of these things, the matter in the universe, the energy and the heat, they have a source. And these are simple examples, not complicated. Order without a designer, the other thing Ustadh Marid was mentioned. If you see a building in a desert, let me ask you, do you think, my brother, my sister, that the sand made the windows and the doors? Do you think the sand made that structure? What do you think? No, right? A design team, blueprinting, years, depending on its height. All of those materials brought from afar. Does it have a designer? Yes. Doesn't even a simple pen have a creator? Plastic outer shell, metal chamber, ballpoint pen. That's the pen on the street. Would anyone say the pen came out of nowhere? Came out of factory, right? But yet it's so simple. Understanding that even simple things, they show the effect of the designer. Does a tree explode in the desert and make a nice oak desk? Brother, mashallah, gets married, just had the walima. Honey, I'm going to bring home an oak desk for us. It's going to furnish our place nicely. Goes into the forest, boom, brings home the desk. Does that how it happens? Does an explosion like this create order? Is there a lot of problem with this example? Correct? We see through the aspect of science, theory, energy, matter, and heat, and design, that Allah is the creator. Evolution. Again, science, a process that changes, a theory. We'll approach it the same way. And then it happened without a designer. Order indicates a designer. And we're going to give this example. Imagine that you have, giving the benefit of the doubt, all of the materials, all the atoms are there. If I take a bucket of ink and I throw it on a pile of papers, will it somehow form the Oxford Collegiate Dictionary that you see here? What do you think? The materials are there. I'm just going to pour it on top. They say this is what happened when they say evolution happened without Allah. We don't need to debate that evolution doesn't exist because to a certain degree it's been proven true. And in Islam, we don't argue it like the Christians do. We have a different concept. We understand evolution is real according to our belief system. That is acceptable. What is the problem is to say that it happens without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the problem. You have a bacteria. It is exposed to an antibiotic. Some die. Some live. Next time they're exposed to the antibiotic, they live. They develop resistance. That is a form of evolution. As Muslims, do we accept this? Do we accept this as Muslims? Yes. So we accept evolution. But to say it happens without Allah, this is the problem. Tell me the odds of it happening again and again. So you dump the bucket of ink on the paper, it formed one dictionary. What are the odds this can happen again and again for the trillions plus life forms on Earth? Every time the bucket of ink is dumped on the paper and forms a dictionary, that's one cell. That's one DNA molecule. That's one mRNA molecule. Is that realistic? No. And then all of the life forms, trillions of cells in your own body, product of chance, go. Take a bucket and take ink and take a pile of papers and you show me, you prove me wrong. This is very illogical. Order indicates intelligent design. If we look at the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the creation, we see it. Even a simple bacteria. Some of them, they have something called a flagellum at its tail. And the more we study the creation of Allah, the more we will find Allah's evidence in it. This tiny tail of the bacteria, called the flagellum, it can rotate, its motor in it can rotate 100,000 rotations per minute. Allahu Akbar. This little bacteria is proving every human being, no human being, the best engineer, if all the earth got together, they have not made something like the bacteria. Allahu Akbar. Who designed this? A human being? No, Allah. Does it make sense? Evolution with order and with the dictionary example. Take your bucket of ink and your pile of paper and take it to the evolutionist. Evil in the world. We covered it. The knife example. The knife isn't the problem and the maker of the knife isn't the problem. In your kitchen, if someone takes your kitchen knife that every day you slice oranges with and they go and they harm somebody, is it the maker of your knife's fault? Is it? No! The knife was made to cut your orange, not to hurt somebody else. Allah made us to do what? Serve our function, to worship Him, to be good with one another, to cut the orange, not hurt somebody else. Life is a test. Another example of why there is relative evil in the world. Because Allah is drawing us to Him subhanahu. Because sometimes when we have some financial difficulty, some health difficulty, some family problem, that's only sometime our hearts open up to Allah. Am I right? We know this as believers, am I right? It is. At the time of the janazah of a loved one, how filled is the masajid? Am I right? So it teaches us to rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next question, is there light in a dark room? Is there? No. What is the light? The light is the guidance of Allah. When we refuse to follow it, darkness occurs. We want to give the light back, follow the guidance of Allah. Have we covered this very well? Allahu Akbar. So very simple, inshallah. So now, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Almighty God. The attributes of Allah are so amazing, and this is a simple one right here. One eternal, all-powerful, wants what is best for you. Wants what is best for you. Does that make you feel good inside? If you are non-Muslim hearing about Allah, the perfect Lord in Islam, not the one who wrestled with Samuel in the Old Testament and lost, as in Judaism, the Tawheed of Allah, the oneness of Allah that is unique to Islam. Utmost love, the creator, the owner, the sustainer loves you, has all knowledge, is eternal. No daughters, no nieces, nephews, stepsons. Does it fit with the fitrah? Does it? All-powerful, all-wise. Is it easy to talk about Allah? Is it easy? Allah made it easy because this makes so much sense to us, right? SubhanAllah. Can you have a more complete understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Absolutely not. And the Islamic concept, it resonates with us. Why did God create us? What would you answer? Why did God create us?
Worship Him.
To worship Him. Why does He need us to worship Him? I ask.
To ourselves.
We can do good to Allahu Akbar. This is the answer. Can we get Allahu Akbar? What is your name, brother? Majrur Chowdhury. May Allah raise him, Ameen, and bless his family, and all of us, Ameen. To worship Him and to thank Him, both are synonymous. And then, to add, well, God does not need us to worship Him. The picture tells the story. Can you give God a hand? Anyone? Very simple. God gave us our two hands. Allahu Akbar. Settles it right there. The evidence is right in front of us when we're talking. Allah does not need us, we depend upon Him. Worship is the highest level of thanks. Is it hard now to explain worship to Allah? It's just thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He is the one who gives us everything. Allah. Why doesn't Allah just show up on television and announce His presence to us? Look, I can see the mountain. Why doesn't Allah?
It's impossible for us to imagine Him according to our limited senses.
Allahu Akbar. Very good. MashaAllah. May Allah raise and bless him. What's your name, brother?
Shafat.
May Allah bless Brother Shafat and raise him and his family. Ameen. So, number one, another point we're going to address is that the existence of Allah has already been proven true to us. So Allah does not need to show up for us to understand this. Allah does things with purpose. So Allah, through the earth and the universe, we have enough evidence of the existence of Allah. Make sense? Number two, we said there's no further proof required. Seeing Allah's reward. This is what our brother, mashallah, Allah bless him, was saying. And imagine the most beautiful reward, the creator of beauty, of the mountains and the trees, is who? Allah. Who is then the most beautiful? Allah. Seeing Him would be the best reward. Right? Does not the best reward, isn't that deserving of some efforts? Yes. So we need to make the effort, inshallah we'll see it in the akhirah. But we need to first earn it. So this is why we will not see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world. We do not deserve it, we have not earned it yet. May Allah make us of those who achieve this. Ameen. Next we're going to go. They want to talk that in rambling and circling and not making sense, because sometimes atheists can do this, but you have a doctor's appointment, you have a son or daughter to pick up from school. So give the atheists the clear Quran and tell them human beings cannot do anything perfect. I'm claiming there's a perfect creator. Human beings can't do anything perfect. Read this book and don't find things you don't agree with it. Find faults and contradictions. This is a perfect book. So I'm claiming there's a perfect book from a perfect creator. Read it. And may Allah guide them to the truth. Allah guides so many people to the truth through His word. It is the best of da'wah. The next we want to talk about is the oneness of God. Tawheed. God is one, eternal, all-powerful, wants what is best for you. Don't you walk away smiling? I want to believe in that God. Who doesn't want to believe in that God? Do they want to believe in a God that's deficient and weak and unable? Do they want anyone? But that's what people believe in. The only ones on this earth that believe in the pure concept of Allah is us. So we have everything on our side. Is there one God? The answers are yes or no. What if they say no? We're going to ask the question Ustadh Mureed said. Are there more than one CEOs in a company? There's not. The company would never run. Your vacation would be approved one day and disapproved the next. So CEOs, one company, one owner. Multiple gods. If there were multiple gods, the earth and the universe would be in imbalance, and Allah says it in the Quran. Let's give the example. God A wants gravity. God B doesn't want gravity. Do you see gravity coming and going all of a sudden? No. That shows the essence of one God, one creator, organizing and controlling it. Each God would also have a limited capacity and would not have complete power. Limited things are what? The fly, the goat, the sheep, you and I. Then, they're no better better to worship than you and I. Limited creation. Do we want to worship a limited creator? Doesn't make sense even, right? So we bypass this. Hinduism. Why worship an idol? Can an idol help itself? Can it? Absolutely not. Very interesting. We're going to talk about the goddess Ganesh in Hinduism. Right? The elephant-headed Hindu god. How was Ganesh born? That one of the goddesses was bathing and she formed Ganesh from the rubbing of her body. Then what happened? How did Ganesh get the head of an elephant? The god Shiva, the husband of the bathing goddess Parvati, sent his guards on Ganesha, whose head was cut off. You'll see what this means. The husband cut off his wife's child. Let's see what this means. To ease the grief on Parvati, his wife, he fused an elephant's head with the body of Ganesh. That's in Shiva Purana. So what does it show? It shows God makes mistakes, because they didn't know that he was going to behead his own son. And then, defective. Does this make sense? These fantastical stories are important to talk about. Next thing, Jesus. Is it logically possible that Jesus could have been a prophet of God? This is huge, this statement. Because when you tell this to a Christian, they may say, you know what? It is logically possible that Jesus could have been a prophet of God. You see where we're going now? Now they're getting along the lines of Tawheed. Because they accept him as messenger and not God. This is very important. So you meet a Christian, ask them this question when you come to the one God part. Yes or no? Moses said, "Hear, O Israel, thy Lord thy God is one," a prophet. Jesus came 1,500 years ago and said in the Gospel of Mark, "Hear, O Israel, thy Lord thy God is one." We're going to talk about the Bible and its authenticity. Despite it not being authentic, it still shows Tawheed. And we'll talk about that. Is this clear? Very simple. The Trinity. Now, if anyone doesn't know what the Trinity is, it's 3 in 1. One God, God the Father in heaven, who they say is all-powerful. God the Son on earth, man made of flesh, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit made of spirit, moving from place to place. 3 gods in 1 is what you're going to show them. Now, when they tell you about this, and this I'll tell you, always, this is something to take away from today, this always gets them to understand Tawheed. Any Christian, period. They will be speechless at this example. So since Christianity is the biggest religion on the face of the earth, this example becomes very important. Look, I'm not asking you which one you believe or which one you prefer. I'm asking you a simple question. Which of these makes more sense? That there is one God who is eternal, all-powerful, absolute, doesn't have any stepsons, nieces, daughters, grandkids. Extended relatives is the same as child. There's no difference, honestly. It's all weakness and limitation. Or, that was Tawheed. Or, one God who's divided into 3 different Godheads. The Trinity. One of them dies, that's Jesus by the way, they know this, for 3 days. Instead of being 2 gods left, there's still one God, even though they're physically separated. God the Father in heaven, right? God the Son on earth, and the floating Holy Spirit. It makes absolutely no sense. And I'll tell you, every Christian, no matter how faithful, when I give them this example, they are stunned. Because Tawheed makes perfect sense. This is a very important example. Which of these 2 is easier to understand? The first. So the faith makes sense, which is this now. There's no mention of Trinity in the Bible. How does this make any sense? How is it the crux of the religion? Let me tell you. If I ask you that here's a book, How to Speak French, in 30 days, and you read it, and then all it talks about is wine and cheese, does that book make sense to you? It doesn't. The title is How to Speak French, and it's talking about wine and cheese. They're saying this talks about the Trinity, but there's no mention anywhere at all, even this much, of the Trinity in this entire text. So Jesus preached lessons, sermons, never once mentioning this topic? Then can it be the most fundamental, important part of the faith? Does it make any sense? The red letter Bible. This is a Bible where it has red letters in it. The words deemed to be from Jesus, peace be upon him. You can tell them, buy it, read it. Read the red letters. Did Jesus ever once say, "I am God," or "worship me"? He never once. He says to them, "Worship God." So look, if we go, Garden of Gethsemane, I love this chapter. In it, Jesus prostrates time and time again, making sajda. And who on earth makes sajda like Jesus in this chapter? You and I. Nobody else on this earth. This is in we have to ask. Who is he prostrating to? If he is God. Is it a valid question? Who is he prostrating to if he is God? Even when they call him good teacher, this is an item of praise. He says, why do you call me good? There is none good but one. And who is that? God. Allahu Akbar. He even denies even calling him a good teacher, not alone God. All praises for God, he says. And this example, in the Bible, Jesus says, I do not know. The Son does not know when the day of judgment is, when the hour is. Nor the angels, only God, the Father. Term used. What does that mean? He doesn't have all knowledge. He admits that. Can he be God if he doesn't have all knowledge, if he admits to this? Tell me. Okay, the Son in salvation concept. Look at this son, mashallah. Dressing just like that. It's so cute, mashallah. They want this idea of sons, limitation. Guess what? There's many sons mentioned in the Bible. You think Jesus is the only one? I just chose one of them. In the Psalms, David is the begotten Son of God. In the Old Testament, there's Adam. There's a lot more examples. In the Old Testament, just choose one, your favorite. This is my favorite. The begotten Son of God, David. Is this real? Is he the Son of God too? You can ask them. It's a term. It means what? Servant of God. All of these prophets are sons of God? Tell me. What is it saying? No need. Does God have a need? Does God need a son to carry on his business? When after he's gone? Someone to carry on his last name? Ask the question. Does God need a mother to breastfeed him and to pack his lunch for school? Let's be objective. Tell me. Does God need a father to teach him how to drive and throw a baseball? You tell me. Right? We're not talking about what God can and can't do. They say God can have a son. He can do it. He's all powerful. We're not talking about what God can and can't do. We're talking about what God does and doesn't do. Let me ask you, does God cheat? Does God steal? Does God lie? Why? Because these are acts of human beings that are faulty, not acts of God. Does that make sense? Human beings included with children. Jesus died for our sins. Wait, you're saying Jesus died for our sins? Now you're saying God is unjust. How so? Why did God punish Noah? Noah's people. Why were they drowned? Why were the people of Lot destroyed? When God would suddenly send his only son to die for the sins of mankind. Did God make a mistake? Did he not know what he was doing all along? You see how the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proves the point? Now we're going to come to Revelation and Prophets, inshallah. This is a very exciting and a very passionate area. We ask Allah to give us strength. Ameen. Bismillah. Yes or no? Revelation prophets, do they exist? Yes or no? If they tell me no, the all-knowing God, He doesn't care about us enough to send us an instruction manual and a guide. He gave us love, health, wealth, family. He doesn't care, all-knowing. Doesn't it make sense that He would send us an instruction manual and a guide? Instruction manual is Quran, Revelation. Guide is Prophet. 2 in 1. Easy. And if you say that there's no prophet, there's no revelation, then you're saying God is not fair and not just. And God is fair and just. For Him to suddenly on the day of Qiyamah resurrect everyone and say you're going to paradise and you're going to hellfire without ever telling them what lands a person in paradise and what lands a person in hellfire is not fair unless they send revelation and prophets, guidance. We need to know it. It's not fair if Allah just put us there. Right? So Allah is fair and just, universal thing that human beings agree about God upon the fitrah. So He forewarned us. Revelation, we need it because Allah would want to communicate with us to show us how to live our life, the purpose of our existence, and we need it to know how we should live the best life possible. Do you and I not have a need to know how to raise our son and daughter the best? Tell me. Do you and I not have a need how to manage our finances before we become broke? We have needs. And who best then? Our Creator to send us the manual, right? The Apple phone, that's going to be your best manual for success. The Quran is ours. The simple message of all the prophets. Very simple. One God. The do's and don'ts of life. What's acceptable to God, what's not. There is a day of resurrection, day of accountability. Teach us how to live the best life possible. We want success. That's it. That's the message of the prophets. One God, belief in all the prophets, do's and don'ts of life. day of accountability, justice. Is the message of the prophets complicated at all? Is it? One God, all the prophets, day of judgment, accountability, justice, success. What do we want this? And guess what? Allah not only sends messengers, He sends them with proof. Musa alayhi salam, Ustadh Mu'izz was saying, the serpents from the staff. That was a miracle. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, excellent. We're heading there. Jesus healing the blind. Right? Physicians agree in Jerusalem. This is not medicine. Magicians agree. This is not magic at the time Musa alayhi salam. These are examples, are 100% proof. So where's our proof? Can we see Jesus heal the blind today? Can we see Moses part the sea today? Where's our proof then? You can tell them. Where's our proof? In Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Denial of religion. I believe that I'm good and that's fine. I can be good and that's enough. Well, how do you know what's good and what's not good? Because in Central Africa, in Sierra Leone, there's a 50% theft rate. So if for them, stealing is okay, is it okay? But it is there. So do human beings know right from wrong? The conclusion is no, we don't. Human beings are constantly changing definition of right from wrong. Slavery was once acceptable, right? It was good. It was praised. Is it acceptable today? Homosexuality was once not acceptable, correct? So what is it today? Acceptable. Are human beings constantly changing? Do human beings know what's right and wrong? No. So for the absolute sense, we need Allah for that. Everyone has their own way to God. You know what? I'm okay. Muslim kumbaya, Christian kumbaya. Everyone, let's all sing together and hold hands. We're all going to go to paradise. It's all good. Well, guess what? That doesn't make sense. You know why? Because our faiths contradict. Because some of us worship Ganesh and others worship Allah. So if we give a stranger on Mother's Day flowers and hug them and kiss them, is that right? Is that right? So when we worship Ganesh, the right due to Allah, is that right? Absolutely not. So, tell me, if you say there are many ways to God as you can imagine, I ask you a question. Are there as many ways to your house as you can imagine? Take a boat to China. Take a plane to Mecca. Are you going to get to your house? Take any road. I'll pick one to Canada. You take that. You're going to get to your house. Does that make sense? Tell me. No, it doesn't. So we need the way to Allah. How do we know? He would tell us. Revelation of Prophets. We're back at that conclusion. It's hard to know where the truth is. Well, guess what? Allah is all-knowing. He made it easy. Take your microscope. Examine other religions. You're going to see the faults and the contradictions. And what you're going to be left with is the truth, which is Islam. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah for Hidayah today, right? We're thanking Allah today for Hidayah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. God would not make the truth look like the falsehood. Would that be fair? Right? It wouldn't. So next, I love this example. I'm just about having fun, man. I love my marijuana, the clubbing, the alcohol. That's my life. Well, guess what, my friend? On the way back from the theme park, you're on the roller coaster, right? Are you still screaming on the way home? No, you're not. Why aren't you? Because the fun is over. Well, guess what? You can spend your life with, the clubbing and alcohol and drugs, and on your deathbed, you can realize something. You have nothing left. Or you can spend your time worshiping Allah and have happiness. Something deeper that lasts longer. We're going to talk more about this, inshallah. The roller coaster example we have. Very good. Wealth does not equate happiness. Let's look at statistics. William and Mary Law School analysis shows that CEOs can have twice the rate of depression. CEOs also have the most wealth in the world. So what do you have? The more wealth you have, the more depressed you are. That's what we learned from this, in parts. So does wealth equal happiness? No, that's a conclusion. Right, you look at wealthy communities, after they satisfy themselves, resorting to alcohol, drugs, and suicide, it's very sad. Because they're looking for something in money that we have right here. Now, there's a God, but I don't believe in an afterlife. This does not make sense. How can you understand that there's a God, which is true, but not believe in an afterlife? Because this baby understands this concept. We're going to see how. So you have a baby, and he's walking, and he trips on something, and he falls, and he hits his head on the table. Mama will come, they'll rub the boo-boo, kiss it, put a Band-Aid on it, and that baby's going to keep crying until what? until mom goes over to the table and says, "Bad table, bad table." Now the baby stops crying, the child. Why? He understands. The table got hit the way it hit me. He understands, or she understands the concept of justice. How can a baby understand this concept and not Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth? Allahu Akbar, right? Allahu Akbar. The Quran. Bismillah. Oh, it's getting more exciting. Alhamdulillah. Allah gives evidence of the truth of His message and He sends a miracle. The criteria for a miracle are three. Number one, when He sends, just like to Musa alayhi salam, as you see in the diagram that they're imaging, that people, they have knowledge of the art and science, whatever it is. Whether magic, Musa, medicine, Isa, Arabic, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's the fairness of Allah. He sends a miracle to people that they can grasp and understand. This is a miracle from Allah. We must accept the messenger. Next, the miracle challenges all of humanity. If this is not from Allah, you challenge it, you reproduce it. And if human beings are not able to match it, then what? What is the conclusion? Allah sends a miracle, the people understand, it's a miracle. Then Allah challenges it, if this is not from me, you part the sea. If this is not from me, you heal the blind. Right? It's a valid challenge. If they cannot do it, it must be only from Allah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Defies the limits of man is from Allah. The Quran is imitable, meaning that it stands the test of the challenge, and that's why we're all Muslim today. If for 1400 years, one person out of the billions of people existed, they wrote 3 verses like Allah, 3 sentences like Allah. I went to the store, I played with a ball, I had a good day. 3 sentences. Was that hard? No. If they wrote 3 sentences like Allah, 1.6 billion Muslims, poof, all gone. But guess what? 1400 years and never going to happen. This is the promise of Allah. And guess what? Allah sentenced the best of people for language. The 7th century Arab. They were the best to meet this challenge. The best. History testifies they understood the language and optimized it the best. They couldn't do it, no one else could. And this we have this from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Ustadh, Zakir Allah. Okay, the testimony. So do you and I have to understand Arabic to understand this? The reality is no. I'll tell you why. Because there are certain things in the world that we understand through testimony. Let me ask you a question. Why do you believe your mother is your mother? Because she told you. Am I right? Other people told you. It was their testimony. Maybe you have a birth certificate. That's also a record. That's a document. That is also testimony. Something written. Did you check her DNA? But yet you believe it, right? Through testimony. Have we been to Neptune? Well, we believe it exists, right? Through satellite photographs, etc., learning in school. We believed it, right? So, testimony is a way of understanding and believing something. So we don't need to understand Arabic to understand the miracle of the Quran. Is that clear? Through testimony. Let's understand the testimony of the linguists of the Arabic language. And has anyone met the challenge? Why this challenge? They were the best. They were many Shakespeares walking on the earth. And Arabic is objective. The laws of the Arabic language are objective. Anyone can tell if something is better than another based on rules. The Bedouin Arab had developed full command of the language. This is Rapin and Napert in textual sources for the study of Islam. It is clear to everyone. The next thing, inability to meet the challenge. History is a witness. The 7th century Arab, they were unable to do it, just everyone else is unable to do it. And we see that Gibb talks about in his book about the Quran that the best of the Arab writers had never succeeded in producing anything in equal merit to the Quran. So we take the testimony of the linguist. And if anyone brought 3 verses and they said this met the challenge, Islam would be what? No more. And no one has done it. Instead, they persecuted and went to war against the Prophet ﷺ. 3 sentences was much easier than that, right? Doesn't cost them their lives, their families, and all of their wealth. Am I right? What is easier? Write 3 verses? 3 sentences? The best of the Arab poetry was their life. Easy, right? What if someone says that someone met the challenge when we talked about it? The 1.6 billion Muslims wouldn't be here anymore. They would have some evidence of some verses. Several attempts have been made, but are Booth not in the construction of the Quran and the Bible? He says nothing matches the eloquence of the Quran. And you're going to see on the right here, there are a lot of different aspects of the miracle. From its unique literary form that Allah writes in a way that no other creation human being has ever written. So the challenge is there. Allah arranges words better than any human being can. Something very simple, arrange words. But yet Allah is the creator of speech. His speech would be the best. It would be uncomparable to us, right? Because He is Allah and we are the creation. The eloquence and the sound and the rhythm and the rhetorical, the literary devices of simile and metaphor, we know this from English class, the content, information that Allah is speaking about, and the conciseness, how Allah uses few words. No one can match it. The ultimate testimony is that of Walid ibn Mughira. He was the best of the Arabs in poetry, and he swore by God that he was the best. And he said the Quran didn't resemble anything. That the discourse of Muhammad ﷺ, the Quran, was superior to everything else, and nothing surpasses it. Allahu Akbar, this is our evidence. This is the best 7th century Arab. Allah preserved it. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Preservation of the Quran in Surah Al-Hijr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about how He preserved the Quran. And that Zuletter, he talks about in his book, The Oral Tradition of Classical Arabic Poetry, that the oral tradition was established. And we know about the preservation and how millions of Muslims have memorized it, and it is the only religious text that if you throw it in the ocean, it will be reproduced within less than a day. And you can say that about no other religious text on the face of the earth. How Allah manifests this verse is just amazing to us today. And here, I'll let you read through it, inshallah, how Zayd ibn Thabit was a scribe of the Prophet ﷺ, the one who heard it from him and wrote it down, the one who was in charge after his death ﷺ, of compiling the Mus'haf, and then again, from Abu Bakr's time, compiling it under Uthman, and how we have the Tukopi Museum copy of the Quran right there, how we have Mus'haf that are dated to within 100 years, 1 century of the Prophet ﷺ, 100% basically of the Quran. Allahu Akbar, you can see this about no other Abrahamic faith. And we'll talk about it inshallah. How it's preserved letter for letter. All of us, we memorize the same Quran. We read the same Quran. It is a mercy from Allah. It is. You don't find it with any other religious text. I'll let you see this. This is a manuscript. It's in England. It is dated to the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. Only religious faith you have, dated to the lifetime of their prophets. Allah preserves this for us. Allah. We said, only if you throw everything in the ocean, only the Quran will remain. And I'll let you read this inshallah. It's talking about the deficiencies in the Old and New Testaments. Contradictions, they don't have their language, we still have the Arabic. They don't have the original text, we still have ours. I'll let you read it inshallah. It's clear. Now we want to talk about Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Is it logically possible that he is the messenger of Allah? I need to know more. Well, he's coming with the oneness of Allah. He's acknowledging all the prophets before him. And he taught the people the rules of Allah. It makes sense. It fits the mold of what a prophet would teach, right? This is what Muhammad ﷺ is bringing. But they want more evidence. There's only two options. Either he's an imposter prophet or he's a real prophet. There's only two options. So how do we get the answer? We look at his life ﷺ and we see if he's a real prophet or not. Through analyzing his life, his actions, and his teachings. What would an imposter want? They would want wealth, women, power, kingship, something like this, right? Am I right? This is what a fake prophet. Let's look at the life of Rasulullah and let's see what he wanted. All of us want this, right? Did the Prophet ﷺ have lobster and steak dinners? Did he ﷺ? No, he ate what? Dates and water. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Not a fire for 2 months. Not meat in his home for 2 months. Could we ever imagine that? We'd be biting each other in the masajid and at work, right? Allahu Akbar. Okay, next thing. A fake prophet would want a gold and silver castle. Prophet ﷺ, Allahu Akbar. Walls were of palm stalk and mud. Allahu Akbar. His roof was made of palm leaves. Does he have the home of the imposter? But wait, he has the wealth of Arabia in his hand. Why not? Because he's a genuine prophet of Allah. The next, a fake prophet would have what? Plush Sleepy's mattress. What did the Prophet ﷺ sleep on? Mats of palm fiber. To the point where Umar radiallahu anhu sees the Prophet ﷺ turn his blessed back off the mats and he sees the etch marks and he starts to cry. Because he's Rasulullah. Whatever bed he wanted, they would have got it for him. But the thing is, if he had a better bedding, he would give it to you and I, and that's what he did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We love our messenger, Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah for Rasulullah. The next thing, the ultimate example we have is when Utbah came to Rasulullah and he said, Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we're going to give you everything you want. Just stop calling to the oneness of Allah. You want wealth, we'll make you the wealthiest amongst us. You want kingship and honor, we'll make you our king. We don't even have kings, we'll make it for you. You want leadership, we'll make you our chief. We'll never decide anything without turning to you. And the Prophet ﷺ was even offered the most beautiful women. Whatever he wanted ﷺ, in exchange for stopping this effort, which any imposter would have folded their head, given up. But what did Rasulullah ﷺ say? He said what Ustadh said, may Allah bless him, and all of us, that he would never give it up until Allah made it true, victorious, or he died in his way. This is the sign, haqq from Allah. This one example, if you remember it. It is truth that he is a messenger. He's offered everything and he does not take it. Because he's only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wealth, came, Taif, Mecca, all these cities, this is a lot of money. And he's giving all of it out and taking nothing home until he sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of the creation. When he dies, he doesn't have anything except his shield, a piece of land, and his white riding mule, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Akbar. Is not that the sign of when a true prophet leaves on this earth? Nothing, everything he gave for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, praise. Now, if Rasulullah wrote the Quran, a'udhu billah, wouldn't he have filled it with praise of himself? We look in Surah Zumar. It talks about the humanity of the Prophet ﷺ, how he will die. What kind of fake prophet would write about his death and his humanity in the Quran? It doesn't make sense. They would have elevated themselves. What prophet writes about his mistakes in the Quran? In Surah Abasa, when the Prophet ﷺ turned away slightly from the blind one who came to him, when he was talking to the chieftain, giving da'wah, Allah from the heavens sends correcting the Prophet ﷺ. Would a fake prophet write about his mistakes in the Quran? Broadcast his mistakes to the world? Tell me, I ask you, yes or no? Would a fake prophet broadcast his mistakes? And praising others more than himself. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is only mentioned by 4 times by name in the Quran. But Musa, 136, Ibrahim above 60, Jesus above 20. What does it show? He didn't write the Quran. He's not praising himself, he's praising others. What kind of fake prophet does this? Right? Does it make sense? Humility. They would enter the tent of the Prophet ﷺ and they would say, which of you is Muhammad ﷺ? They couldn't tell. Why? Because he ﷺ, he was dressed in what his companions wore and sat at the level of his companions even when it was on the floor. But look, you go into the king's court or the CEO's chamber, look at the king's palace. Do you have any question who the king is? He's the one on the throne with all of his gestures in front of him. Is not how Rasulullah was the sign of a prophet. In his humility. And the Prophet ﷺ, in his honesty, he would stand the night in prayer, and he was not a hypocrite ﷺ. He told other people to stand the night in prayer, and he's the one, his feet are swelling, standing before Allah, as his wife bears testimony, a pool of water formed at his feet, because he's crying to Allah for us. May Allah increase our love for our messenger. I mean, the truthful As-Sadiq and Al-Amin, he says to a whole city, have you ever heard one lie from me? They said, we have never heard one lie from you. Right? When he says this, their response is, we have not heard one lie from you. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In 40 years, is this not the sign of a true prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Can we make it in 3 minutes? 3 minutes? Yeah. Okay. So the Prophet ﷺ, even his enemies of the enemy tribe, when they were at war, they would leave their possessions with the Prophet ﷺ. When people would go on journeys, they never knew if they were going to return from it. They would leave their belongings with Rasulullah. If you were smart, you went on a trip, who would you leave your car with? Your bank account, your will with. If you were smart, you left with Rasulullah. This is what they did in his time. This tells us about the character of this man. We have Michael H. Hart, renowned historian. He writes a book called The 100, a ranking of the most influential persons in history. And guess who's number 1? Rasulullah. Why? He says that he was the only man ever in history to succeed both in a worldly and a secular matter and bring a religion or philosophy, a methodology of life. Objectively, to his surprise, only Rasulullah, to the highest degree. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, if there was any doubt, and we're going to end with these 2 slides, inshallah, he called to Tawheed of Allah from worshipping rocks. Is that not great? Allahu Akbar. The Prophet ﷺ, he rose from an orphan to the humble ruler of Arabia, founding the second largest religion, 1.6 billion. and one of the longest lasting empires, ending with the Ottoman Empire. From a secular, worldly, dunya level, he was supremely successful. Allahu Akbar. And according to Pew Research, when they did the last study, Islam was the fastest growing religion in 2015. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. If greatness, look, he's the owner of 1.2 square million miles of land. This is the last slide, Sheikh. And he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who would do this? Aisha says, he's the owner of 1.2 square million miles of land. And Aisha radiallahu anha reports, he used to help with household work, mending his clothes, repairing the shoes, sweeping the floor, milking the animals. Who does this, owner of 1.2 square million miles of land? We don't even do this in our own homes, in our own rooms. And look at Rasulullah, is he not our example? Allahu Akbar. God Muhammad ﷺ ended racism 1400 years ago. Look what's happening in the South. Racism. Look what's happening in Pennsylvania. Look what happened in the Netherlands. Does it not exist today? 1400 years ago, a white no greater than a black, nor a black greater than white, ending racism. Giving rights to women, saying that their rights are sacred and they are the twin halves of men. And giving them the right to own property 1400 years ago. This did not happen in Britain until 1870. Allahu Akbar, when we compare it. So even with other faiths, the Prophet ﷺ in the Medina Constitution giving religious freedom to his Jewish brethren. So we see this inshallah. I will send the slides inshallah. We ask Allah to accept this effort. We ask Allah to give us love for His deen. We ask Allah to give us tawfiq and hidayah to call to His way. Because we saw today it's very easy to call to Allah. Allah made it easy, let us not make it difficult. Inshallah, register at the computers there, pick up a Quran inshallah. We will be giving da'wah across from Hillside Islamic Center next Saturday at 11 a.m. We welcome you to join us inshallah. Calling to Allah, may Allah bless us. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك جزاك الله خير السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته